Let's talk about Kim by Rudyard Kipling. This is a novel about it starts with a character who is 12 or 13 years old. He's a teenage boy. He lives in Lahore, in what is now Pakistan, was then British India, and his name's Kim, the Kim of the title. And he's a street urchin of mysterious parentage, and the novel covers the next 3 or 4 years of his life as he discovers his parentage, new friends, and a new purpose in life. Now, I actually listened to this rather than read this edition. I listened to it as I've started to fill chore time with audiobooks. So yes, and I enjoyed listening to it, though I'm not normally an audiobook fan. So there are two threads intersecting in this book. The first is that Kim meets a Tibetan Lama, and he becomes the Lama's disciple and follower as this Lama goes on a quest to find a sacred river. And second, Kim's natural urchin-like abilities gain attention from certain figures, and he is recruited into the British intelligence service that's located in India, and he participates in the Great Game, where Britain and Russia vie for influence in Central Asia. So he's trying to help Britain be more influential than Russia in Central Asia. And that spreads into India, of course, as the crown jewel of the British Empire. So the plot is one part unlikely friendship, or I suppose adoptive father-son story, and it's one part spy adventure. And of those, the latter is the action section of the book. There are fights, there are sneaking arounds and spyings, and some interesting training montage sequences almost. And while they're fun, they are the least important part of the book. They're there, they give action and diversion, but the book is not really about these spying and action parts. There are other things that are worth paying attention to. To begin with, Kipling is just a very good writer. He wrote open, bright, witty prose. It's not shallow, it's not cynical. In this book, this is essentially a realist novel, like Henry James or Thomas Hardy, but unlike those people, particularly Hardy, he doesn't focus on grimness, but instead depicts a colourful and exciting world. His descriptions are good, and his environmental writing is very good. It's very beautiful. One is constantly brought into the locations that he brings us to. He brings us to cities and villages and mountains and rivers, all along the Great Trunk Road in north and central India. And you believe you're there. The characters are vibrant, they are distinct, they are alive. They are, though sometimes stereotyped, they are done so in a very fresh and real way. So Colonel Crichton, he is a very... he is the image of the imperial administrator. He's sensible, pragmatic, effective. Mahbub Ali is a ruthless tribesman with a heart of gold. They're sometimes fulfilling tropes, particularly of the period we're talking about at the start of the 20th century, but they fulfill them in very fresh ways. And the relationships are amazing. The heart of the book is the relationships. Obviously, this is particularly the case with the beautiful father-son relationship between the Lama and Kim, as the Lama seeks to encourage Kim into a spiritually reflective life, and Kim seeks to look after this wise but innocent old man. But all the other friendships and mentors that Kim picks up along the way they've got distinct relationships with him. They have a particular dynamic in the relationship, and they add things to your understanding of Kim as a character and to the world. Logan Saib, Mahbub Ali, Father Victor, and the Great Babu particularly are the four other, maybe to some degree you could see them as other surrogate fathers like the Lama, or as friends, or whatever you want to say. But yes, these various figures, this is a book about those non-romantic relationships. And this is also an interesting reflection of a period where empires were the norm, where 85% of the world's surface was ruled by European empires before the First World War. Kipling was born and raised in India. He loved India, undoubtedly. He takes the British Empire as the default state of nature, and he often writes with that in mind. And there are assumptions there that very much fit that. The white Sahibs and the Oriental natives have very big cultural differences. You know, that you're never forget you are a Sahib is the thing that Kim is often told. You often hear about Oriental habits. These are things that Kipling does emphasise. To a degree, that is quite jarring now. But on the other hand, I'd say compared to my review of Robert Howard elsewhere on the channel, it's nowhere near as intense and nowhere near as artistically difficult in terms of a believable trope. And that's partly because, on the other hand, Kim is friend of all the world. He crosses the world of Sahib and Oriental. He mixes and befriends all manner of people. He serves Britain in this new career. Of course, he serves the Empress Victoria, Queen Victoria on the one hand, but he's dedicated above all to the only father he's ever known, who's a Tibetan Lama. And Kipling does love India. Yes, it's the India he knew and understood. It's not the India that the average Hindustani villager knew. But that's a universal limitation on writers. None of us who write or who even read can fully understand and appreciate the view of another. But Kipling often tries, and that I think makes a difference. He has a wide variety of British and Indian characters who have real depth, who are very memorable, and who I think are sympathetic in their different views. So it's a classic. It's perhaps the great work of Kipling's career. So on that basis, it's worth putting on a kind of 1,000 books I should read before I die. But if you love strong, non-romantic relationships in books, for example, Sam and Frodo in The Lord of the Rings, if you love great environmental writing, this is not just 1,001 books to read before you die, but this is an absolute must-read. If you've read Kim, or if you have other thoughts about Kipling as a writer, tell me in the comments what you thought. Till next time.